If you're listening to this, you know where you are. It's Buffs and Blindsides back again for another week of Survivor 44 analysis and tomfoolery. As always, spoiler alert for this week's episode. Catch that on CBS or Paramount Plus or wherever else you find Survivor. Let's dig right in. How you doing, Evan?
I am doing well, sir. This was I don't even know how to describe this episode. It was somehow both very entertaining and positive, but also like unremarkable, I guess is what I'm going to say.
That's what I had. I think it was just a very meh episode. Even though there was a lot of good comedic aspects, I just thought it was very meh. I didn't know how to feel about it. It was just
there was like so
much time spent on people just being like, "Oh my god, it's the merge!" Like, what am I gonna do? I don't know where the votes are gonna land. It's just like we don't need that. Spend the time doing something else. Like we only need like a few minutes of that. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm sure we'll talk about where those moments came throughout the episode, but we have to start where we started the past couple weeks. And that is mentioning the glorious... We got 5 whole seconds this time of our theme song. Man, it was wonderful.
You counted?
I more or less counted. I had a heart, I was vibing for the whole time, and I estimated that time to be about 5 seconds. We got more than 2 notes, which I feel like is kind of what we've gotten in the past.
Yeah.
So it was a win. It was a beautiful win. The more and more I hear it, Tim, the more and more I think you're right. That theme song might be coming back one day.
Maybe they're going to bring it back like once the jury starts or like in the merge or something. Next episode.
For sure. That would be sick. If they flash a theme song, like we will lose our minds. Oh my gosh. Twitter will go apeshit. It'll be wonderful. It'll be the most joyous of times. But we hop right into the episode, and right away we're on the beach with Jam Jam and Carolyn and Josh, and Josh is just dragging them right off the start. And, Josh does seem a little bit more on the naysayer side, but I have to say, I think I'd be right with it. Like, listening to those two interact for multiple days straight would probably drive most people to the brink of insanity.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I mean, it makes for great television, but...
And they're both lovely people. It's just two
Carolyn
big personalities.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do it. How many days is that? Probably like 4 or 5 days.
Probably 4 or 5, I think.
4 days.
And like if you have someone else, like when he was there with Sarah, I'm sure that helps. But then somehow him and Sarah decided to be at odds instead of flipping on the others. So, sometimes that's how.
Honestly, being stuck with anyone on a beach for like that much time.
Yeah, when you're in like a group of 6, it's like okay, you'll have enough like time where you're split off with smaller groups. Like when it's just 3 of you, you're either like alone or you're with all 3 of you. Which I feel like probably gets old fast.
Yeah, and then Carolyn comes in with that Midwest representation, talking about bags.
I was wondering, do you think she calls it what would it even be? A bagel? Like how would she even say it? Like,
right, just bagel.
Yeah, I don't know. The way she pronounced bag was so weird to me, though. And then she was like surprised that people couldn't understand that. I was like, I'm from the Midwest, and I still think you say it wrong. That's how wrong you say it.
I mean, I understood what she was getting at. I understood, and I think if you're in the Midwest, you should understand that. And like, Evan, you're not real Midwest.
Yeah, I'm fake. I'm an East Coast
wannabe. That's definitely like a way up north, Minnesota or Wisconsin.
Oh, right, for sure.
Accent.
And I'm not like arguing that it isn't. She was like shocked that the Colorado lady couldn't figure it out, and I'm like, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be that shocked. And then she like thought the way the others were pronouncing it was so weird. I don't know. It's like the people who say like milk versus milk. Does anyone who actually says milk think they're correct? Like obviously it's milk.
Yeah, I think in Chicago we think we have our own. Like we think that we speak normally.
We technically have like the not like true Chicago, but like isn't Midwest the most neutral accent technically in the world or something?
That's a good point. I don't actually know. I think
I
like
think it's like ranked
maybe
as like
like the Midwest and like probably parts of the Northeast, I would think.
yeah, it's like for the English like language. I think the Midwestern
American
accents, these are like
English.
the basic one. I don't remember where I heard that. I digress. Um, yeah, so
Well,
that scene was
on this
great.
episode of Linguistics with Evan and Tim.
Uh, facts. Um,
All right.
yeah, and then we I think from there we jump to, if I'm not mistaken, Carson's new tribe, which was Ratu, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna say it right now, and you're gonna hear it from me all episode. I hate how much I have to compliment Carson on his play this episode. Like, I just felt like he served up some good stuff. The end, it got away from him a little bit, but by and large, like, I really liked his play, like revealing the dead idol. That was smart. He's clearly in with Ratu, from the like knowing what Lauren had advantage wise and stuff like that. So I don't know. Carson's on one, I think. Credit where credit's due.
I agree from the viewer standpoint of just like not having to worry about another idol being in play. Like if he's playing it as a fake idol or something, not another thing to think about. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess I kind of questioned it at first, but thinking about it a little bit more, if you kind of how the scenario with Josh played out when you're saying you have an idol and then someone can easily turn around and say, well, um, like who are the other swappies? Jamie and
Yeah, Carson.
Carolyn, or no, not Carolyn.
Jamie and Carson.
Josh?
It was Josh, Jamie, and
What?
Carson were the three
Okay.
swappies.
Well, they could easily turn around and say, well, that idol doesn't mean anything anymore. So I guess that's a smart play on his part in that kind of seeing ahead and
I also
uh
like. I don't really think having an idol is beneficial anymore because it feels like everyone knows about everyone else's
yeah.
advantages, and I just feel like whenever you hear about someone having one, or even the threat of someone having one, that is like a huge motivation for voting people out now. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, even
And
this episode,
then
right? Josh, like, we had to hear about Josh's non-extant idol, for a good 15 minutes.
and then Lauren she just jumped in and she's like, yeah, I got an extra vote. Like
Yeah,
what?
that was
What
funny.
was the
She's just
point of
tossing it out
that?
there. Drawing off that tribe loyalty. I do have to say though, like you bring up Lauren, we still didn't get confessionals from her. I don't think I might have missed one.
She's
But
non-existent.
she
Winners
had
edit.
some great one-liners when they were like the big merged group. I'm trying to remember what they were, but there was a couple. Like I think there were only two of them, but they both made me laugh quite a bit. So Lauren, she's a sleeper pick right now, but I think her stock is decent.
Hmm. And then I guess we get to the actual merge, and Josh is kind of like coming out guns blazing, trying to
Can
link
we
up with
right
whoever.
before we get to Josh? Can we talk
Okay.
about for the second episode in a row the most ridiculous comment I've heard in a minute on Survivor, which is Jamie once again thinking that she is the most valuable player in this game. Like, it was ridiculous enough when I heard it once last week, and now she thinks that on the whole merged tribe, she's the most valuable. And I mean, like, I guess if you're thinking about it purely from a numbers standpoint, you're not wrong because she was on both of the two biggest tribes. But like, in terms of people care about what you have to say, I feel like she's like bottom three people on this island.
I feel like what she even had to say about that didn't make much sense. She was just talking about the swap and having
Yeah.
connections with two tribes. Well, Carson has the same. I guess he has less people to connect with.
Right. I think that must be where
Tika
she's
is
coming
gone,
from.
but like,
Is her tribes are the
it's,
two big ones? I don't know.
and Josh too. Like, it doesn't really make any sense.
It really
And
doesn't. Like, I love her energy. Like, she brings so much happy energy, but then just like she's borderline unstable. Like when she was weeping at the challenge and stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl is entertainment, but holy cow, she would be a lot to be around.
hmm. All
Okay,
right,
so I
but
didn't mean to
back
cut
to
you
the
off
actual
earlier.
back to the actual merch. We're
Yep.
kind of talking about Josh. I thought it was kind of interesting for him. He's just like, I got nothing to lose. I'm gonna try to connect with as many people as possible. Tell everyone that I have an idol for some reason.
But he didn't tell everyone. He told half them that he had an idol, and then he told half them that he didn't. Like,
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
I mean, I don't think it was like true half and half, but like he told Brandon he had one. then he like obviously Jam Jam and Carolyn knew that he didn't, and he had to know that they knew that he didn't. And then he told some other people that he didn't. So like I just have no clue where his brain was at when he was like doing this. I feel like he knew his game was coming apart and he was already trying to like plug up holes, you know?
Yeah, I definitely felt the same way just throughout this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Basically just kind of grasping at whatever he could.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got for sure.
What else do we get in that pre
and then he decides that rather than try to work with the people he's been with most recently, he's going to hang them out to dry and like publicly with the entire group, which was also a bold decision, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I get it if you want to go back to Soka and be like, hey, here's what happened with me, Caroline, and Jam Jam. Like, you can't trust them. That's one thing. But like, they're all just sitting in a group of 12, and he's just like, Jam Jam wants me gone. Jam Jam tried to vote me out. I'm like, that's just stupid. Especially when you know that Jam Jam's kind of like a let's roll, you know, kind of guy. Like, you want to go, I'll go. I just feel like that was like a challenge at that point to go vote him out or something.
Yeah, and I guess you kind of see this like back and forth between him and Jam Jam too. Jam Jam's kind of doing a similar song and dance, just kind of gunning for him. Well, we see that he wins out in the end. He has more reason to for Josh to go home, I guess, with all this fake idol talk. But Jam Jam also kind of drawing some fire too.
Yeah,
and then I guess we see Carolyn kind of talking about sticking with Carson and Jam Jam, reuniting in that Three Stooges alliance, as they called it on the show.
Yeah, I liked that name for it. I think also I do want to talk about the scene that was kind of edited fun in this episode, where it was like Carolyn's monologue about meeting all these people and doing small talk and whatever.
Yeah,
and I do feel like that's an underappreciated part of what happens at the merge, because we know all these people, right? Like, we've seen every tribe. You forget that most of them really haven't interacted with each other outside of the challenges and the couple that have switched tribes. Like, I do forget how different it must feel for like us watching the 12 interact versus like actually being there and be like, okay, I have to meet, you know, if you're a TK member, I have to go meet 9 new people, you know?
Yeah, I think it's something that kind of gets brought up every season with a different character, but I think this is really effective storytelling through the edit.
Yeah, adding the music, a little shaky cam, close-ups of her face, like, and she's so facially emotive too that helps. But
for sure,
just another one of those like main character, like really exploring someone's personality sequences that I've really come to like in the new era. It's been some like, I think it's probably like my favorite set of changes overall, is these like little individual looks at how people perceive things. And I thought this was just a really good example of that. So again, I want to highlight when the editing does something exceptionally well. But yeah, the Three Stooges alliance.
Yeah, and just being a little bit more playful with that edit, like playing with the music a little bit more. Like,
oh yeah,
we see that.
We love some good tunes.
Was there anything else before the challenge that happened, or do we just want to get straight to the challenge?
You are ignoring arguably the most important thing that happens before the challenge, which is our first look at Franny and Matt in the nighttime. I loved it. They're so cute. Oh my gosh. Just sitting there. I think you sent me the meme and I almost like died, and it was like nerd foreplay, and it was like it was just a picture of Franny saying, I reject that hypothesis. Man, like when they're holding hands, I'm so scared for when they get called out for being too coupley, but I love it in the meantime.
I feel like that's gonna come very soon.
Or I think it might come next week from that preview.
Or it already has, and it's just not established in the edit yet. I thought it was kind of funny that they're both like, you see everyone's kind of getting their merge clothes, right? Or I don't know how production does it, but everyone kind of like changes their clothes, and both Matt and Franny had these like vintage sweaters. They're so alike.
Dang.
They're so alike.
You know what I do think
I just thought that was funny.
Is like, you know, we're getting a lot of the nerdy personalities this season. So, we got like Kane and Carson doing their like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars talk. You know, we got Matt and Franny, who are both obviously super nerdy. Like, I feel like there's like a meme to be made out of like the nerd, like you versus the nerd she tells you not to worry about, and it's you as a photo of Carson, and then like there's Matt, who I just feel like is like the actual hunky nerd. Like I feel like Carson's projecting that he's the hunky nerd, whereas Matt obviously doesn't think he is. But like I don't know, Matt's my type, so it's working for me.
Yeah, and it was also funny, like Matt and Kane meeting. I think a little bit earlier when they first had the in quotes merge, and it was like these are different like shades of the same person
Yeah,
just
yeah, for
meeting
sure.
at the same time. So
Definitely.
I thought that was funny. So getting to the challenge, my first reaction to seeing the challenge was Carson definitely made that puzzle.
I was gonna ask you if that was your exact first thought too. I saw that puzzle and I go, Carson's team is winning because that is the most like 3D printed puzzle. I guarantee if you go on like look up Survivor on Etsy, you can absolutely buy that puzzle. It's probably the most bought puzzle
Right.
outside of maybe the vertical fish one. There was
Mhm.
0% chance in my mind that Carson has done that puzzle less than 100 times, which was of course validated later in the episode. But yeah, I saw that. I was like, it's over. Carson's team wins.
Do you want to discuss that song and dance now about reoccurring challenges, or do we want to talk about that later?
I feel like we've hit the point home enough, and I think this episode solidified that they will have to make new challenges. Like, you cannot let this be a thing that happens in the show, or you have to acknowledge that, like, you, yeah, I guess I just think they'll have to make new challenges. He dominated this one too hard to the point where, unless you practice the puzzles, you can't compete with the people who do practice them, and I don't think the show's going to want that. I think they enjoy
Yeah,
that someone's broken the system now, but long term, they know that won't be good.
it was so weird that they just kind of like had that edit at the end of him doing like I didn't pause long enough to see if it's exactly the same pieces.
I
Like
think the tree one is always the same. Like I feel like it's always got that low branch off to the right that's supported by the base. The left one always has that like straight protrusion that makes like the cap on it. Like if
see,
nothing else, it's very similar. It's very
that's
similar from
just
what I've done.
nuts to me. I mean, production's probably just saving some money at this point, but we're seriously just like one step away from like the Russell Hantz Survivor training gym. Someone's gonna make a business out of just like building all the Survivor
For sure.
challenges, and people can just like fly in to go practice for Survivor.
Did you ever
It's
watch? I think your idea is right on the spot. To back that point up, did you ever watch American Ninja Warrior? When
the
that was
warp
big.
wall.
Yeah, the Warped Wall. I loved that show. I think what was so fun about it was like I liked it early on. So this is back like we were in like sixth, seventh grade, I think.
Hmm.
And I would watch that show all the time, and it was awesome because there's all these weird people from all walks of life. Have you tuned into it in a recent season, like this year or last year, by chance?
No, I haven't.
It's all kids now. It's literally all kids because they like lowered the age you could be to join. And so what was happening is like kids who, don't have to go to work, they don't have like these responsibilities, they're just able to go to the ninja gym after school and practice. And then also having like an ideal body type for this stuff. Like the kids just dominated now. And what happened is so many kids were able to do like the adult like challenges that they had to make the physical challenges way harder for the kids, which means that like the adults can barely qualify anymore. And so it's basically just a kids show now. And I really don't want Survivor to be in the situation where to compete in the challenges, you have to practice them. Like, I feel like it's very antithetical to
Yeah,
the concept of surviving on a deserted island, you know?
that is very interesting. I do remember like seeing. I was never like a real follower of the show. I just watch it sometimes when it was on. But I do remember early on, like there were montages of people like practicing at home with very similar equipment, basically building some of the obstacles at home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, to your point, like it's kind of ridiculous that that they can do that. Um,
And I
like
think production
it,
wanted this to happen. I think they wanted someone to come in and be like, yeah, I've practiced, I've trained up on this. Like, I think Jeff is
right.
excited this is happening, right? We've seen it in the edit that they're excited to
Hmm.
show that Carson can do this. But I also think that means that they have to be prepared to change it up now. everyone is going to get really sick of it if just one person knows how to do every puzzle you throw at them the whole season. It's going to get old fast.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I guess the one thing you could say is that like when you're actually on Survivor and on the island, haven't had food, doing this puzzle after you just ran up a wall through all sorts of obstacles and everything like that, you can't really prepare for that. I mean, maybe you can, like,
I mean, he
do
did
some
that puzzle pretty
cardio.
freaking fast. I think if nothing else, he kind of prepared for it.
Okay, I guess that's the one
I hear
thing you
you.
could say in the argument. Pro production, pro Jeff Probst, their side.
Like I
But
get you, but if anything, I think it probably exacerbates it, right? Because if you're the orange team in this tribe split, and I can't remember who's doing their puzzle, maybe Heidi and Lauren, sounds right. Heidi and Lauren are also going through that same mental exhaustion. Their bodies are similarly deteriorated, but they haven't practiced it, so they're going to be even worse off than the guy who's at least like has experience with this and still isn't functioning 100%. But if they're both functioning 80, I'm definitely taking the guy who practiced it over two random people, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. So, anything else with the
again,
challenge?
though, I have to sing Carson's praises, right? We saw the tribe split, and I'm like, Matt and Franny are in the same tribe as Carson. Thank God they're safe. They're into next week, and it was wonderful, and I loved it. So thank you again, Carson.
Anything else about the challenge? You get 2 giant balls.
Brandon hulked that boulder. Like Danny tried to hulk that boulder on his back. Brandon did it. That was impressive.
That's what you get when you get NFL players.
I mean, I definitely feel like other NFL players have not been as solid in challenges as Brandon has been.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brandon has been a very underrated challenge performer so far. And I'm curious if we're going to get any more of like, because he's not Jonathan from 42, right? He's not Ozzy, he's not Joe, but he's like almost in a better spot where you're beasting these challenges, but no one's talking about you beasting them, you know?
Jeff's doing that on purpose. Jeff's not commenting on it, so
Jeff's
he
sick
can
of
be
his challenge
under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff's helping him run an under the radar game.
Jeff purposely called in medical that one time to lower his threat level.
Exactly. Yeah. Conspiracy theory. Put it out there. It'll be the next episode of I'll never remember Jeff's podcast name, but
On Fire with Jeff Probst.
Thank you. Perfect.
You didn't see the ad? Do you just like fast forward through it or something?
I fast forward through the commercials.
Oh,
although
okay.
apparently this or last week's episode is on Survivor Borneo, and I definitely actually do want to go listen to that because I'm such a Survivor history nerd, so that'll be pretty exciting.
So there's this earn the merge thing. The purple, was it purple? They won.
Yep.
After they win, we get a buff banner ad at the bottom of the screen for a promo code.
Oh, that was very funny.
I was looking earlier today. I'm thinking about getting a buff for this season. So
I kind of want to get
20% off.
Hat. Like I need a new trucker hat. I just lost my old trucker hat. And by just lost, I mean it flew off my head at a really windy football game in November, and I couldn't find it after. Yeah. So I'll be doing some buff shopping. The ad got me. It worked.
Yeah, 20%. That'll cover your shipping.
Oh hell yeah.
Let me think. What else? Do we get anything else in the challenge?
I did not have anything else in my notes from the challenge.
So then they go to this merge feast. They get sandwiches and cold cuts. And
that looked
fruit.
like a good merge feast. Like I would want a sandwich so bad. That was like my dream food. I think I saw some strawberries, some wine, some juice. Yeah, that would have been the feast.
I feel like I would be kind of disappointed, to be honest. Like, I mean,
you want some za? What are you wanting, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're kind of... Those aren't really the foods you're craving for, but you would take it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you would be excited either way. But like thinking at home, I'm like, oh, I want like a big burger, like some pizza, something like that. load
I
up.
hear you in terms of like the taste and like that's the thing you're craving. But I feel like when
Hmm
you get there and you look at that table, like what you really want is the food that's going to sustain you and like last
you're
you a little
right.
bit.
It's
Like so, a burger would work, right? A burger is probably the dream. Of like, oh, good big chunk of protein, or like a chicken sandwich would be the dream. But like, I think a sandwich is better than pizza in the long term.
oh yeah, I mean 100%. I think that's what they're going for when they built this feast.
Hmm.
Is I think they've kind of shifted in recent years towards like providing more food that will sustain the players, other than like in the past it was just like fast food straight up like cheese fries and
What was the one they used to cater? Was it Outback? Maybe
Outback. They did
Outback.
Applebee's.
Applebee's. Yes, yes, I forgot about Applebee's.
Um, yeah. So I'm sure that that food is definitely like I can't even imagine what it would be like to be part of that feast. Really sucks for the people who don't get to take part in it. I don't really like that part. Like,
I agree.
I mean, I see what they're trying to do there. It just sucks. Like, it would just completely suck. I think everyone, if you make it this far, deserves some sort of reward.
I'm with you. I think the merge feast should be available to everyone. And if you want to do the earn the merge thing, sure, do earn the merge and then give everyone the feast. But
Hmm
I do think even if you lose that challenge, like the big reward is advancing. I don't think we need to stack more rewards on that. I feel like the merge feast is a rite of passage. I'm a big rite of passage kind of guy, both the actual survivor rite of passage event and then the metaphysical thing. Um, and yeah, I think they should give them all the feast. I'm with you.
So then we get to where there's actually some strategizing going on. They're talking about Josh's idol, if it's real or not real.
Hmm.
Carolyn jumps in, says, "Oh yeah, he grabbed that from the tree mail," and we could obviously tell it was fake. And this was my favorite, like the funniest part of the episode to me was Franny just jumping in and saying, "We should probably just plan like he has one." So after Carolyn straight up tells him he doesn't have anything.
Yeah, and like I guess I see where both sides are coming from here, right? If you're Carolyn, it
Yeah,
is so incredibly obvious to you that he has
right.
nothing. But if you're Franny, right, like you don't know if you can trust her. All you've seen is this woman who just screams a lot of
A hundred
challenges.
percent.
And then like Carolyn is so frustrated with them. Like, I just told them they don't have it. Like, Carolyn, it's a game about lying. For all they know, you're working with Josh, right? You were just on his tribe a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand that Carolyn's probably very sick in her life of people underestimating her. I don't think this was people underestimating her or anything. I just think this was like a normal level of caution to take. And I thought it was weird she couldn't accept that. Like, I get why the Danny and Brandon thing made her so angry last week. I didn't quite get why this made her so angry.
Yeah, I agree with it. It was just kind of clever editing, and I thought it was a funny moment.
And I mean, I'm going to defend Franny until the
And
day she dies. That woman is perfect. So,
and the edit, it at this point, I'd just like to say the edit is definitely giving me Carolyn winner vibes, or going completely far, like probably making tribal or
Final
something.
four. Yeah, fire making,
Like
please.
it's like the Gabler edit, right? It's just like so many points where it's like, hey, I'm right here. They're underestimating me. Like we're
I'm
reminded every episode,
I'm really
unless they're
interested.
trying to
Your
throw
comparison
us.
is Gabler for this. To me, it is one to
Okay.
one with the Marianne edit. Like I feel like Marianne and Carolyn are almost mere characters, like very
Well,
different people, but
okay. I'm
mere
just saying
characters.
Gabler is in recent memory.
Okay,
Like
okay. Yeah, the under the
the
radar part of Gabler, honestly, of all three, has been there. So yeah, that makes sense too.
yeah, it's just giving me like I'm right here. I'm actually making moves and no one's seeing it. It's
I
like
mean,
it's like
again,
if Gabler's edit was better and you could actually see more like strategic playing.
I guess so. I do view it as different because I do think Gabler was kind of a go with the flow, do whatever guy until, except for the one Ellie vote where apparently that was enough to win him $1 million, I guess. Um, but like Carolyn is very much in the driver's seat of most of the plays that's happening. She is not a passenger on this ride.
Yeah.
And like I do think she's a really good player, and that doesn't get talked about enough of how strategic she's been throughout this game. I don't really think she's made a bad game move yet, like in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Um uh like yeah, I think Carolyn is obviously someone you're considering as a winner. She's probably the most obvious winner pick like at the present moment, but I guess we'll see. We'll see. Um what did you think of Carson sharing with Kane the plan to vote him out?
I didn't. I mean, it's great for that alliance, I guess. I think that bond will only grow after this vote because he gave him proper information. But telling it, as always, just telling anyone they're going home is just sure to cause chaos. Um, so like as a viewer, I'm just kind of like I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't really like Carson, and I was like, I'd love for it to just be like, okay, Carson's a snitch, we're voting him out. That's the ideal scenario when that happens, but I don't know. It was a move.
Yeah, I did say I was going to compliment Carson a lot this episode. I do think this was the one thing I had a problem with him on this time around. You just can't spread your net too wide. And at this point, I feel like he's getting to the point where he's allies with everyone. And I think that bites you in two ways. Number one, then people on the jury feel like you betrayed them at some point, right? Like now, if he eventually does go vote out Kane, right? Is Kane going to feel hurt by this? Because I think people feel you need to be somewhere in the middle of like being involved in the game, but then also like not creating personal vendettas with jury members. I just feel like when you're making all these personal one-on-one connections, like these are not big groups that Carson's a part of with these people. It's a lot of small one-on-one with a lot of volatile personalities. I mean, Kane is obviously not a volatile personality, but like you're telling me if you vote off Jam Jam, you think he's going to vote for you when he's on the jury? Like, fuck no. Jam Jam's not voting for you at all if you voted him out, right? I think Carson's got to be careful of aligning with all of these. I don't know what the right word is. Tempered or non-tempered personalities. Just he's casting too wide a net. He's got to watch his scope.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
And then
there's not really much else.
I was going to ask, was I tripping? Previously, when they have done Earn the Merge, the only people who vote are the ones who have to go earn it, right? Or has it always been?
I don't know. I thought the same thing. I was like, I think it was probably Jam Jam brought up, or whatever. They're talking, and they're just like, yeah, we'll just see what the other people bring back when they come back from the feast. I was like, wait, is that how this works? I don't remember it working that way.
The group at the feast we're all talking to. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You don't go vote. Yeah, what you guys do doesn't matter. I really liked that change, though. I think that made the Earn the Merge a lot better. I always thought it was lame that you could go into the merge like with great numbers and a strong alliance and then just end up being in a terrible situation because your whole alliance was on the opposite of the rock draw. Like, I really don't mind Earn the Merge in this fashion. Like, yeah, half the group gets in right away, and then the other half, you limit the group down to who your options are to vote out, but everyone still gets that vote. I thought that was mas perfecto. Wonderful. Good work, Survivor, of tweaking a thing.
If they did, I don't know if that was actually. Do we know?
I know for sure. At least in like 41, it wasn't that way. I remember I was so mad because Sydney got voted out by like the group of 6, even though she was totally fine with the other group of 6.
Well, they had like the hourglass.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah, that was 41 and 42 with the hourglass. And Roxroy's journey.
Oh no, Bruce had to smash it too. Yeah.
Bruce. Roxroy.
Thank you, Jesus. That was super racist. Oops.
We'll cut that out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, I just still feel like it's kind of gimmicky. Just get to the merge, and then so at this point, does the votee, whoever gets voted out, they're not on the jury yet.
No, this is the last non-jury person. So Josh is not joining the jury.
I hate that. Like that's just got to be so sucky.
I've always said it's the worst spot to go in the game of Survivor.
It,
You
it
don't
just
get your
feels
full
so
Ponderosa experience, and then you went out there, you were such a part of it, but no one will remember you.
it's
No one's
so
calling for the last
unnecessary.
pre-merger, the last pre-juror season. Everyone's calling for the first boot season. Yeah,
It
being the
just feels
last
so
non-jury member is the worst
unnecessary.
elimination in Survivor.
It just feels so unnecessarily like brutal to that person. Like you're
Fair.
so close to making the merge, you get nothing. You get to go home like right away or go on whatever trip they send the pre-merge boots on. Um, you just like you lose, you get nothing. Sucks. Um,
Facts.
and it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess they could make it like in previous seasons it was a little bit better. It wasn't like okay, you leave and they hand you the hand the buffs to the new people.
Yeah, they at least had to wait another day before they got their buffs.
Yeah.
But I do
So
think there's something nice about the entire group getting to decide who merges. You know what I mean? Like one elimination, you get to vote out whoever you want before you merge. Like I guess it's kind of what the point of the merge
oh
is. I don't know. I
yeah, I
don't
didn't really
hate
think
this.
about that way,
I
but
did.
that
I
is kind of interesting.
Of all the twists I need Survivor to get rid of, this one now that they've fixed it, I think with all 12 voting, this one's much lower
Hmm.
on my list. I hate the what's the stupid chance one? That one's awful. Hopefully that doesn't come back. The like if you play, you whoever gets out first in that challenge that you can choose to sit out
Oh
of has to go do the game of chance, like the 50-50
yeah,
odds of I hate
in
that
the
one.
in the preview next week we're getting some weird twists. It sounds like.
Yeah, which will be interesting.
Um, we didn't really discuss tribal at all. I feel like
Nothing interesting.
it wasn't notable at all. It's the same thing every
It
week.
was longer this week. They made it longer so they could tell us about how
Yeah.
chaotic it was.
Um,
I need one of these Survivor producers to go sit in a high school English class where your English teacher begs you to show and not tell. That's what you're supposed to do as a writer, right? You're supposed to show through your words and not just explicitly state it.
yeah,
Just
that's
show me
like
the
the
chaos on the beach.
basics.
You did a great job with this Carolyn scene of like the commotion, having to fake it,
Hmm.
having to like cordial introduction thing. Like that was awesome. That showed the chaos. Having a bunch of people sit around and asking each of them, hey, Carson, how chaotic was it? And then Carson goes, oh my God, Jeff, it was so chaotic. Like, what does that do for us?
Or hey, how nervous are you?
Oh, that's a good one too. Great point.
It's just that one comes up every episode. It's just like, what is the level of confidence here
It was
in the
like
vote?
novel at
It's just not,
first, but now I'm bored.
and we see the chaos anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like they show us like no one really knew what was gonna happen. I mean, there are three names kind of out there. We saw that was gonna happen. You don't need to talk about it for that long. And
Well,
then
Tim, they do because the monster is coming.
the monster's coming.
Monster's coming.
And then we get Matt with like this analogy that just felt like a
It was so bad.
complete. It felt like parody of Survivor. Like
It was arguably the most punchable Matt has been all season because his analogy made zero sense.
I'm gonna comment on this with like I guess maybe it's analogy, probably some. I don't know what I'm getting at, but it seemed like Matt just like maybe made a bet with someone at home about like how crazy an analogy he could come up with and like get away with and see if it makes it on TV.
I
Like
love this.
that's just
yes, I'm accepting this as canon.
um I mean the analogies sometimes are accurate. This just felt like so extra.
I think the ones that normally work for me are the ones made in confessional, not the one that Jeff basically begs out of you at Tribal Council. Like I think
The
it was
one about
Erica.
Jaws or something. He's
Yeah.
talking about Jaws.
Erica in 41 talked about being like the lamb in a lion's clothing or lion in a lamb's clothing or something like that works for me. When Jeff is like, what was the school bus analogy at Tribal Council a couple seasons ago? That still
do
is
not
in my
remember.
nightmares. because he forced it out of them. Like he was like begging them to say specific words to like make his analogy happen. I was like, what are we even
Yeah,
doing
he's
right
done
now?
that before for sure, where he
Um,
tries to make them fit into an analogy.
yeah. So yeah, but TLDR, uneventful tribal. I don't have anything to comment on.
Uneventful episode. Josh goes
Any
home.
thoughts on scenes from next week? I know we hit on there's gonna be a big twist. I personally just wrote Matt and Franny with a heart eye emoji because we're gonna get more of that story, which I'm so excited for. Anything else catch your eye there?
I didn't really have anything aside from the twist where Jeff's like, "You don't get to choose who goes home" or something.
Yeah, you won't go to tribal council or something, so I'm assuming we're doing like Summit
I don't think
Island
that's what
part
he
3.
said. I think
Oh, it
he
wasn't
just
okay.
said, "You don't have the power to choose who goes home."
Oh, well,
And I'm
that
like,
sounds
"Who's
awful. It's like
choosing?"
the core part of the show, but it's fine. I'll hold my
America
judgment till
votes.
next week.
It's like American Idol style, live
Oh my
text
god.
idol.
That would be insane. The Russell Hantz
I'm not,
method for deciding the winner of Survivor.
like, that's not even possible since this was filmed months and months ago, but
Where there's a will, there's a way. Don't doubt Probst.
yeah.
I do
Josh
have one
decides who
comment.
goes home.
Yeah. I know that I've talked in depth and in detail about Matt and Franny and how much I love them. Part of what has me very optimistic is right now we are getting like just a little bit, like we're getting our appetites whetted each week, right? There's like one little
It's
scene about them, or
building.
sometimes zero. I feel like we are so far away from the climax of their love story that I feel like they have to be in this show a while longer, and I'm so thankful for that. Like, I hope this is a season-long arc, and I
I
really hope
feel
it ends
that.
with, again, Franny decapitating Matt in the game, because that'd be badass. But
They go to fire.
that'd be awesome.
Matt versus Franny fire building.
Yeah, for real. That would actually be sick. But I'm just really glad that this isn't like some storyline that was thrown on us at the beginning and then we got it for 3 episodes and then they went home. Like, the way they're setting this up makes me think that this is like actually a very legit like romance love story we're gonna see. And I'm really excited for that.
I can't say I disagree. I'm excited to see where this goes. Yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely building to something. If it ended this soon, it would feel unsatisfying.
Yeah, if Matt goes home next week, I will be really disappointed. And if Franny goes
He's
home, I'm quitting on the season. So
He's finally got his votes, so
yeah, what an awesome way to burn your last no vote, by the way. That was awesome for him. I'm glad.
yep. Matt's playing the game now.
All right, Tim. It's that time. We said we would do new winner picks for the merge. Do you have one for me?
I didn't do it. I thought
You didn't
about
do it
it
last week because
was.
you didn't do it. Oh, do you know what a post-it note is, my guy?
I thought about it last week. Well, no, I thought about it this week while watching the show. I was literally watching the show, and I was just like, you know what? I love all these people. I love all these people. The cast is great. Like I said earlier, I don't think this is like my who I want to win pick, who I think will win. I'm still getting Carolyn vibes. I think that's the obvious choice. We're probably getting baited here, but
I'm
I
with
don't
you.
know.
I think that seems like the most likely winner, but I'm not the guy who picks the number 1 overall seed in my March Madness bracket.
Yeah,
Right?
see, that's why I'm hesitant. Is that my
Yeah.
pick? Am I locked into that?
No, you can change it if you want. I can go in the meantime if you'd like.
Okay, you go first.
I'll be honest, 43 is just, or 44 is just giving me a woman's vibe. I know we've had all of our queens voted out too soon to start, but I think we're about to vote off a bunch of men here. And I think we're looking at a female winner, and that's not many of the options left. It does feel like it could be any of them to me. I don't know why. I just don't get winner vibes from any of these guys, really. I think I'm between Heidi and Franny. I know that's crazy. They're giving me just enough of Heidi, and everything I see of her, I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel like she's going to play her cards really well. She's not going to piss people off. She's got the Gabler vibe of this season. Like, she just seems like someone who's here that people don't really have a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. This is mostly gut. She might go next week, but I don't take the number 1 seed in the draft. I love riding a 5 or a 6 to the championship. It doesn't work out for me well that often, but it did this year with UConn. So I'm gonna do it now. I'm taking Heidi. Heidi is my winner pick.
Okay. I respect that. I see what you're getting at. She's given me like a late boot vibe.
She's probably like a final. She's probably like number 6. Is I feel like the most accurate positioning. Like she'll make it
she
far.
She feels
but...
like someone who will be booted in the last episode.
Yeah, it feels like she'll make it far. She just doesn't have the drive to get it home, or the oomph to get it home.
Yes,
but sometimes those people do.
I'm just kind of looking at this cast photo right now, trying to narrow down my choices. It's literally just process of elimination. Like, I don't see Jamie going far. I don't see Lauren.
Time is numbered.
I don't see Lauren going far unless she just like suddenly gets this edit or surge of power out of nowhere.
I just feel like the Orange Tribe has been so invisible in comparison.
Yeah, I don't
Soka
see
and Tika that I just don't see it happening.
I don't see anyone from Orange.
Yeah,
anyone
I agree.
From Orange winning. So that leaves us with, I don't think it's going to be Jam Jam. Probably not Danny.
Danny has no strategic value in this show at all. Well, he did something this week where I was just like, oh, it was when Jam Jam brought up voting out, who did he say, Josh, right at the start? And then, like, Danny's just like, nah, and just kind of walks away. I don't know. I love Danny. Danny is not strategic. I don't think he can win.
Yeah. So right now I'm looking at, like, Carson, Carolyn, Franny. I think that's it.
And again, I do think the Dog Alliance, like, I know it's a conspiracy theorist in me. I do think that's a thing. So I think we are going to see, like, the Carolyn. I think our final group is going to be, like, Carolyn, Jam Jam, Carson, Matt, Franny, and, you know, a couple of, like, I think that group is going to keep in this for a while. So I think those are all safe bets to have as a winner pick.
Oh, yeah. I'd also like to include Heidi in my my approximation here. I'll just go with Franny. she's my winner pick.
Let's go.
I think she'll definitely outlive Matt.
Yeah, I really want her to be the one who slays Matt. It'll be so hot.
I think she can definitely outplay him.
I also feel like she will run circles around most people at Final Tribal. Like, I feel like her Final Tribal argument will be so well prepared. She's a great speaker, very eloquent. Like, if she gets to Final Tribal, she will mess up some kids.
Yeah, not like nervy either. Like, she seems very calm.
If people are throwing her shade, she'll be able to deal with it. Whereas, like, I think if Carolyn gets any shade up there, she'll, like, go batshit.
That would make for a very
I really want to see Carolyn answer Final Tribal question, so I hope she makes it there. But I don't see it going well for her.
Yeah. I could see it being entertaining on both sides. Her asking questions and her answering questions. I think she's very interesting.
She's just a very wonderful person.
So you heard it here first. Our winner picks, both from Soka, Evan with Heidi, me with Franny.
Which means that they're actually getting eliminated in the next 2 and 3 weeks, respectively.
No, we're getting a double tribal next week. They're both going home.
Checks. That's on brand for us, Tim.
No, I'm not going to change it. I was going to say, I don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We probably jinxed it.
We probably did.
Anyway, we'll be back next week. This has been a good episode of Buffs and Blindsides. Share it with your friends. Share it on the internet. Let everyone know the gospel of this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm bad at outros.
that was perfect. We are gods, and don't fucking forget it. See you next time, folks.
See ya. Peace.